I'm Shalom, Makim and Aqua. This is your brother Azariah, and I want to start by giving all the praise, honor, and the glory to Yahawah, by Hashem, Yahawashi, Yahawah being the true name of the Most High God, and doing so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world knows as Jesus Christ, but we know the true name to be Yahawashi, and He is the Hamashiach. All right, and what I want to do is, should be a pretty quick lesson, but hopefully edifying enough. We're going to talk about Deuteronomy 23 and 7. All right. Deuteronomy 23 and 7, and we're going to start by reading it out. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, right? Meaning abhor, right? What does that mean? Of course, hate, to look at in disgust, right? So, to deal with, and discuss. An Edomite, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in his land. Okay? Now, what we want to do is get into this scripture, because this, a lot of times when brothers are, either, trying to get more understanding or even defend, Esau, they'll run to the scripture in Deuteronomy 23 and 7, talking about you shouldn't hate an Edomite, when there's plenty of other scriptures that, state the contrary, right? And we'll bring out one or two of those, how we're willing. But first, we just want to deal with the text of this, because, see, we do understand that sometimes there's mistranslations in the Bible, and we're going to prove it right now. Let's go to verse 7, and when we go into this word Edomite, right, let's go into the word Edomite. This is why it is important at times to go into the blue letter, because when you see something that can be looked at as a stumbling block, or looks contrary to other precepts, you want to examine it. Sometimes you look at commentary and see how it was translated, see what's going on with that particular text. And this is why the blue letter is a good tool to use for brothers and sisters, not to make, create a whole brand new doctrine out of it, but it is a great tool to use to be able to get the understanding of words and, the meaning behind them and the context of what it actually means when you go into the word, because we could also get, caught up in modern day language, right? The way words that we're used to hearing them mean versus the actual meaning of now, or even ancient times, of the way the word used to, what it meant back in the time, or going into the etymology of it. So let's go into this word, right? We're in the Edomite, right? Edomi or Edomi. Let's go into it.
Strong's H130. Edomi.
So
and the form just below that, Edom.
We have Edom or Adomi, right? Edom or Adomi. So when you go into it now, let's click on this word right here. You see a couple. See patriotic, from Edomite, or descendants or inhabitants of Edom. Now let's go into this Strong's right here, because here's another thing you got to notice. Translation Strong's 1H30 in the following matter: Edomites 11 times, and Syria once. Well, hold up now. Why is there, if we're looking at 7, why does it say Syria? This scripture only talked about Edomites, right, and Egyptians. So why are we clearly now seeing Syria? Get it? We see Syria. Why do we even see it one time? So now we got to examine that. Why does it say Syria? Let's go back. Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in his land. There's no mention of Syria here. So what we got to do is we got to examine the matter. All right. Now let's go into this H726.
Strong's H726. Aromim. And the form just below that, Adomi.
So you have Aromi and Adomi, right? The form below that, right? Talking about the Edomite. But wait, look at this. The root word, the etymology in the Hebrew, a clerical error, right? You see H130, a clerical error. This is a clerical error, meaning what? When they were translating, they made a mistake. And if you look at the Hebrew characters, though this is not the Paleo Hebrew, right? They're pretty similar. They're very similar. You see that? They're pretty similar in terms of the text. So what ended up happening was, you could deduct is that a writer made a mistranslation because they were so close. Because see, you're dealing with vowel points here, the modern day Hebrew. This isn't even the ancient Paleo Hebrew, but someone made a mistake and mistranslated this. And so when they had those extra vowel points were missing or added on to, well, that's how they got, Edom. They got Esau. They got Edom from it because it's pretty close, right? They're not totally off the wall. It would be very understandable to see why someone made a mistake here in their translation, and boom, they messed up and end up putting Edomite. But it says here it's a clerical error for 130, meaning what? Syrian. This is talking about Syrian, right? Aromi, a clerical error for H130 and Edomite, as in the margin. Now, someone will say, oh, this is an error. It should be saying Edomite. Well, it says in the original text, it says Edomite there. So why would then they say Syrian is an error for Edomite? That doesn't make any sense. That means the Syrian is the actual word that was supposed to be used. So when we apply Syrian, right, Edomite is an error. Syrian, right? Now, if we read this in Deuteronomy 23:7 again, thou shalt not abhor a Syrian, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in the land. And that's what we were, a stranger in the land, right? We dwelt in Egypt, You could go in here and see that our people dwelt in Egypt. From Genesis, even from the time of Genesis, holding down for Joseph and Pharaoh, right? See that? Joseph, he said Joseph. Let's use that one. Let's use Genesis 41 and 41. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. You see that? So Pharaoh set Joseph over the land of Egypt, right? We had affiliation there. And in fact, our people, even after this, Egypt was one of them hangout spots for our people, right? So we were there. And that's why the Most High is saying, hey, don't hate these particular people, because, you were a stranger in that land. We were strangers in that land. And we actually built bread. We broke bread with the Egyptians, in the beginning half. It wasn't until after, when the relationship between when Joseph passed away and, of our forefathers, the original set, right, of the 12 tribes of Israel, the patriarchs, when them and their descendants passed away, then the Egyptians started realizing, okay, shoot, well, we don't have no relationship with their kids, you know what I'm saying? So we need to take over them before they start, they're multiplying. These guys are growing. They're gonna start taking over us. So we need to put them into captivity because they might do that to us. So that's when the peace treaty was broken, right? It wasn't all fun and united. We weren't united anymore, right? That's when we became enemies, but we dwelt there as strangers in the land. Right? So that's why the Most High is saying that. And when you're dealing with Syrian, which is what that should say, let's go back into a little bit of history real quick with this. In the book of Genesis, right? It's not something that's talked about too often. But let's get Genesis 25 and let's go to 20, right? Remember, because you got to remember these generations, right? The generations, the genealogy, I should say. You got to remember some of this, right? We got to remember some of this, right? I had to go back and look into it myself. Genesis 25 and 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel. Check this out. The Syrian of Pandanaram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. Remember that? So Rebecca actually was a Syrian. Okay, she was a foremother, right, to Jacob, right, which was the patriarch of the 12 tribes of Israel. So we have Syrian by default. If you're an Israelite, there's, even in the smallest amount, there's Syrian in you. There's Syrian, not Assyria, but Syrian. And even then, but that's a whole nother topic. We're just trying to prove a point here. So Syrian by default. Jacob was married to an Assyrian. Try not to say Assyrian, but Syrian, right? Jacob was married. Rebecca was a Syrian. She was Syrian. Okay. And not only that, remember when Esau was getting ready to kill Jake, right? He was getting ready to kill Jacob, right? Remember where Rebecca had Jacob go to. Let's go to Genesis 28 and 1. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padanaram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. Thy mother's brother. So, right here, we know that's what? That's Laban. So that means what? Laban's daughters, Rachel, who we know are Rachel and Rebecca, they're Syrians, right? Verse 5. We'll start at verse 4. And give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which Yahawah gave unto Abraham. And Isaac and Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Padanaram unto Laban, son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob and Esau's mother. Right? So he sent him to Padanaram. Right? He sent Jacob to Padanaram. She sent Jacob to Padanaram to flee from Esau, right? And to bring forth children to start the lineage, right? To take a wife, which he ended up taking really four wives, to start the 12 tribes of Israel, right? So there's obviously family history, there's relation there. Of course, like I said, we have by default, we know we have Syrian in our blood because Jacob, the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, the forefather of the nation of Israel, he was married to two Syrians. And we don't know. I have to look. I forgot what the two handmaids were, but we definitely know Rachel and Rebecca were Syrians. So, they're Syrians in our blood, for the most part, right? So that, just being dependent on what the handmaids were. We definitely know Syrians are part of the lineage, as far as, well, they're a part of the, what was made. They're in the genetics, because obviously the forefather, the seed is from the father. So, it would be from Jacob. But they're close family is what I'm getting at, the relation aspect of it. And that's why you have Deuteronomy 23:7 going back, telling us, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. That's talking about Syrian, right? We see that's a clerical error, that's Edomite there. That's not actually talking about Edomites. And we have plenty, obviously there's plenty of precepts. We're just going to go ahead and bring one, though, to close it out. Psalms 137 and 7. Remember, O Yahawah, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, right? So this is a message directly dealing with Edom, Esau. The remnant of the children of Esau, the descendants of Esau. O daughter of Babylon, right? And that's who he's in government and control of today. Modern day Babylon, the great, aka America, the United States. Who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against a stone. See that? He's telling us not to hate them, right? If he was talking about Esau, you wouldn't. Why is it reading that hey, look, we're going to be happy. Those, the elect, are going to be happy to dash them against the stone. These are talking about little children, and they're going to have the spirit of Yahawah on them. So the Most High is going to be happy to do that. So why would he tell you not to hate these people? The same one is going to be dashing kids. That's an ultimate form of vengeance. Okay, that's like in a physical act. That's an ultimate form of vengeance. It's dashing little kids against the stone, just like how they did us. That's why he said, remember the children of Edom. So this is what the writing was. You see? So, always just got to examine these matters. And there's obviously plenty more where this came from. But, it's just for brothers to get the understanding of Deuteronomy 23:7, so it's not as a stumbling block to them. And they can understand, and it flows with the rest of the scriptures to show that, hey, look, this was a clerical error in the translation from the writers that was made. All right, so I hope this was edifying, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth that are learning and or teaching this gospel in truth and sincerity. Till next time, Yahawah willing, Shalom.